It feels so good to be back. This is Catfish on Ice, episode 91. We missed everyone. We missed the Preds talk. We missed having all this fun talking about Nashville Predators hockey. But of course, we hope everyone had a really good Christmas with all their friends and family. And I am joined by my co-host, Rich Howe. This is Chad Mitten. Rich, how was your holidays? How was your Christmas? How was everything?
It was great. It was really good. I got a pre-order Stadium Series jersey coming.
Woo, okay. Okay, all those jerseys that everybody hates?
All those jerseys that everybody hates. I got one coming. Yep.
Well, hey, I've already seen, I can't remember what player it was or who was wearing it. I want to say it was Roman Josi, but they look way better on the players.
They absolutely do.
And that's exactly what you said, Rich. That's exactly what you said. You said, let's pump the brakes. It's gonna look much better on them in person. And yep. I was it Roman Josi? Did you see the same picture as me?
I don't remember. I saw, so the night that we were at the game, the night they revealed them, and they had some country band, I don't know who it was, up in the stands, and they showed them on the screen, and a couple of those guys were wearing them.
So just average country music singers. So imagine seeing Roman Josi in these jerseys. Imagine seeing Philip Forsberg in these jerseys in the stadium, in Nissan Stadium. They're going to look good. Let's all calm down a little bit here.
Yes. And I'm going to get it. I'm going to get Roman Josi's number and name. And
there you go. That's a really safe bet there. That's a safe player to go with.
There's only a couple of guys. There's only a couple you can get.
Whatever you do, do not get Philip Forsberg on your jersey. I'm just warning you right now.
I would, no. So it's like I would get a Rene jersey, Josi. Saros is questionable, but Saros, yeah. So,
well, past players are safe because you know they're not going anywhere. But yes, on this current team, it's pretty dicey to be getting players on your jersey unless you want to see them go play for another team. But all right, we are very happy to have you back with us. We took a week break from the podcast. We normally do 2 episodes a week during the season, but you know what? The NHL also had to take a break due to COVID, so we took a break as well. But the Christmas break was nice to have, and we are super energized here and ready to get back at it with all of our listeners. We appreciate you being with us. We hope you had a great Christmas with your friends and family. We got the new year coming up here with 2022. We got the World Junior Championship going on right now. We got a couple key Preds players in that, so we'll do an update on that. Our main face-off tonight, our opening face-off, is going to be, it's always about looking to get better. It's always about trying to improve. Just because you are doing all these great things doesn't mean you can't get better. And that should be that goes for life in general. So, our opening face-off tonight is where can the Preds improve coming out of this break, coming out of this COVID pause that the NHL, I think it's on day 10 now that the Preds have been without playing hockey. Yeah. They're still riding that 7-game winning streak.
Yeah. And
let's go ahead and refresh everyone's memory. The Preds had a back-to-back sweep against the Avalanche and the Blackhawks, despite having so many players in the COVID-19 protocols. And it's like, okay, can they keep this up? Is this break going to make them a little rusty coming out of this break? That's what we're worried about. So our opening face-off is going to be all about what can they do to improve on. And there's plenty of things. Even though they are on a 7-game winning streak, even though they are just, what are they? Are they 1 or 2 points out of first place right now?
1 point.
1 point. 1 measly point out of first place. And guess which team they're behind? The team they beat earlier in the season, the Minnesota Wild.
Minnesota Wild.
The team that I'm
39 points as well, but
yes, the team that I'm Minnesota Wild, the team that I'm pretty sure me and you both, Rich, have atop our power rankings for the division, which we haven't done that in a while either. But we will do that on Thursday. But yeah, so the Preds are right there, but there's still always room for improvement. That's what we're all about. That goes for life in general. All right, so we got a really...
Real quick, though. How was your holiday? We didn't ask how your holiday was.
All right, so my holiday was really good. It was nice to spend time with my family. It was nice. Yeah. We had some 75-degree summertime temperatures. I felt like firing up the grill. Like it was weird.
That's what we did.
Well, that was smart.
We had steaks for Christmas, so yeah.
That was smart. Hey, steaks are never a bad idea, no matter what holiday it is, or what day of the week it is, for that matter.
I will take a steak over ham or turkey any day.
Hold on, Rich. I got to ask you real quick. How do you like your steak cooked? Don't let me down.
Medium rare.
Oh, all right. This is why he's my co-host. Rich out for the win.
Is there another option?
If you would have said well done with a side of ketchup, I probably would have quit this podcast.
Medium rare, covered in butter.
All right, I can live with that. But if you would have said well done and I like a little ketchup and A1 on the side, that would have been the end of the Catfish on Ice podcast as we know it.
No way.
All right, good. All right, I'm right there with you.
A good steak.
I'm right there with you. All right, well, yeah, we had some really good food. We had the more traditional Christmas food. We got to enjoy a lot of family, some family I hadn't seen in a while. It was great. It was awesome. This time of year is always about catching up with family, talking to some old friends I hadn't talked to in a while as well. So, yeah, it was great. Awesome. So this is a great time of year, and we hope all of our listeners right now also are having a great holiday season. It's not over. We still got the new year coming. 2022 is almost here. Hard to believe.
Which that's insane. Yeah.
But Rich, let me finish here. We got a really awesome and fun segment for our listeners. We got some good responses on social media.
Oh yeah.
Hypothetical. We like to do these hypothetical things all the time on this podcast, and we're going to give you another one. If you could pick one historical great NHL player, he has to be retired, and it can't be Wayne Gretzky, and it can't be a former Preds player. Who would you put on the Preds? I know I gave you some rules there. I gave you a little bit of a, all right, you can't pick Wayne Gretzky because that's obvious. Everyone would pick Wayne Gretzky. But, and it can't be Pecorine. I had to throw the rule in there about the Preds not being former Preds because all my Preds fans would just pick Pecorine. They'd take Pecorine back. So I had to throw that rule in there.
I was going to do Lucas Pisa, but...
Well, he's not retired. I don't think he's retired anyway. I don't know, but no, it has to be. It has to be retired, and I think you missed these two words, Rich. Former great.
Oh,
yeah. I don't think Lucas Pisa falls into that category.
Are you disparaging the good name of Lucas Pisa?
I am.
All right.
Don't even lie. Lucas Pisa is going to be on your Stadium Series jersey. Just don't even lie. Stop lying.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Just to spite people.
It'd be really funny.
Yeah,
all right, so we're going to get into that. Former historical great NHL players. Who would we put on the Preds? Who are some of our top choices? That's going to be a lot of fun. I got 3 players that I would absolutely put on the Preds first over all the other greats. And it was tough, but it was fun.
It is. Yeah, there are so many to choose from.
And then to round out episode 91, we are going to do a quick preview of the Capitals game coming up on Wednesday. We are really it's so nice to finally be talking about a game again.
I mean, we have so many.
Let's go ahead and get into it right now real quick. We'll cover it more, but we'll go and throw it out there for anyone who doesn't know yet. But yes, COVID protocol update.
Ooh.
Yes, the Preds are getting... Let's start with the good news. The Preds are getting back Ryan Johansson. That's good. They're getting back Mikael Granlund.
Yep.
That's really good. Yep. It looks like we got Philip Tomasino back in the mix. That's awesome. But we don't know about... We still don't really know about Matt Duchene. That's kind of up in the air right now. Like, no news on Matt Duchene. Nick Cousins. Yes.
Mark Borowiecki.
Mark Borowiecki.
Back. And Ben Harper. I know
yes. Well, Ben Harper was the only one I cared about. All those other ones could not be playing. As long as we get Ben Harper back, we're winning the Stanley Cup.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but all right. And on a more serious note, those are some good players to get back, obviously.
Yes.
Especially Mikael Granlund, who was on a tear before he got placed on the list, and Ryan Johansson. Yeah. But unfortunately, our beloved captain could not escape the COVID protocols. He is on COVID protocols. Also, my beloved Colton Sissons, who is one of my favorite players, underrated players. He's on COVID protocols. And our budding rookie who is dishing out assists and proving us all wrong this season, Tommy Novak, is also on COVID protocols.
Ugh.
Yes. So we'll talk about it. We will talk about it more when we preview the Caps game to end this episode, but that's a tough blow. It's like you get excited about getting certain players back, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even have time to get excited about it. So
yeah, it's rough. Yeah. That's
especially
tough.
I mean, Roman Josi and Colton Sissons, you want to talk about two vital players to the winning streak we got going on right now, and you're going to take those players out? That's tough. That's tough.
Very tough.
But the whole league, to be fair, the whole league is dealing with this right now. So it's not just the Preds who have to overcome right now.
Yep.
And, of course, we are presented by DraftKings. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Again, this is episode 91 of Catfish on Ice with Rich Howe and Chad Minton. Of course, we normally have Kyle Perkins, our buddy, joining us for Perks Picks every Monday. He has to miss this week because, you know what? Life happens and we got some stuff going on. But he will be back with us. He hates that he had to miss the episode. But you know what? It's okay because he will be back next week. And we can't wait to have him back. We're going to miss him tonight, but he will be back next week. We can't wait to have him back. So that's what we got in store for you for episode 91. So, Rich, you ready to get into it?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, our opening face-off. Our opening face-off is all about where can we improve? Where can the Preds improve? Where can we get even better? And yes, I know that's a hard question to ask because everything seems peachy right now. Everything seems perfect. Life is perfect. The Preds are a 7-game winning streak. They seem like they can do nothing wrong. I personally thought the winning streak was going to end against the Blackhawks because they were completely decimated with the COVID protocols. Plus, they were missing Matt Duchene. And they were going up against a Blackhawks team that, for the most part, weren't dealing with any COVID protocol players. So I thought that was for sure when the winning streak was going to be ended. But what do you know? The Preds push it to overtime, and they win it in overtime. So, Rich, it's kind of hard to find where can we improve in. But they're out there. There are some places.
There are some.
And, Rich, you want to get us started here? Give me something that you think the Preds can improve on coming out of this break.
It's not – the first one is it's not really much – it's not an improvement. I guess it would say with the new rules in place, it's utilize the taxi squad to your advantage. Now that they had the announcement where they're going to let players come in the taxi squad. I think so far the Predators have added Matthew Olivier, Matt Luff, and Michael McCarron to the taxi squad. I would assume they're going to add Rocco Grimaldi.
You would think.
We think, and I think you wrote a really good
Connor Ingram. You wrote a really good piece for Pred Lines talking about the taxi squad, and yeah, your point was perfect. Like they need to make sure that they get the right guys in place and just use them to their benefit as best they can. Another point you made in that piece was all the guys that they would bring onto the taxi squad have NHL experience. You know, they're used to playing on the big roster, so. Just use that to their advantage. That's something that they're pretty good at. They did that against Chicago. They brought in a bunch of guys when they had to play Colorado, and it worked out really well. So hopefully we can. Well, there's certain teams that I feel like are going to be in a lot of trouble when it comes to having to do this because they're just not very deep. They don't have a lot of players on the fringe part of their roster that are ready for NHL experience, whereas, you know, the Preds to use this, and this is going to be a temporary thing. This taxi squad, assuming everything goes the way the NHL is hoping it goes, this is going to be a very temporary thing. This taxi squad preferably is not going to go until the very end of the season.
Right.
This is basically to get the NHL through this surge that the whole country is facing right now when it comes to COVID-19 and the Omicron variant, which we're not going to get into to COVID talk outside of hockey. Like, that's just not what we're going to do. We'd be here all night, and we're not experts. We're not going to claim to be. But what's going on in this entire country when it comes to the rise in cases is going on in the NHL. And so I think the NHL is using this taxi squad wisely, and I think we've already said this, and pretty much everyone's been saying this. We got to bring back the taxi squads to get through get past this hurdle. Yeah. This major hurdle that's already postponed over 60 NHL games total. Over 60.
That's a lot to make up.
Which has pretty much moved the NHL out of the Olympics officially.
Yep.
And you've even seen the top star of the game, Conor McDavid, come out and voice his, I don't want to say displeasure, but definitely his disappointment that he can't participate in the Olympics. And I feel like the NHL could have, I don't know. I'm not going to come down on the NHL because, honestly, no one knows what to predict from this virus. And everyone's trying to make decisions on the fly. But, yeah, it's tough. And so now we got these taxi squads in here. We think it's going to be temporary. But we still got to think about it. And I think the Preds are a team that are deep enough to where they can feel pretty good about the players that they're going to be allowed to put on the taxi squad. And, I mean, Connor Ingram is who you think of first. I mean, if for some reason Connor Ingram has to be thrust in for an emergency situation, you feel pretty good about that.
Yep. Yeah, I do.
He already had to do it pretty much when David Riddick was out for protocols. And so...
I mean, I feel good with all the guys that we've mentioned. Definitely Rocco Grimaldi. Like, that's just a no-brainer to put him on there. I mean,
and Matthew Olivier is basically an NHL. Matthew Olivier is already really an NHL player now. It's hard to call Matthew Olivier a prospect. It's just the point of there's so much room on the roster, and so unfortunately, the Preds have so many young players that have earned a spot on the roster that it's hard to find room for Olivier. But with this taxi squad, he's an easy choice. Easy choice. Cody Glass. I really think Cody Glass. Matt Luff. I like that one. But I actually want to see Cody Glass get in on the taxi squad. And we don't even know if these players are actually going to get significant time. This is literally a safety net here. But,
absolutely.
But I do think the Preds are very set up well to where if something does happen and you got to dip into that taxi squad, I think the Preds are set up pretty well.
And there's one other player you might like to see. Who would that be? Who's the other player you want to see?
Maybe. Who's the player I want to see?
Yeah, on the taxi squad maybe.
Zachary LaRue?
No, Igor.
Igor Afanasyev, yes. I would like to see Igor Afanasyev on the taxi squad. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But, and really, this taxi squad is being created for the worst case scenario.
Right.
They're trying to cover their bases here. Some other key points out of that is emergency call-ups from the AHL. For cap reasons, these players who are going to be on the taxi squad will be considered AHL players. So that's important. And so, it's smart the NHL's doing it. But we really hope that the NHL doesn't, or these teams, including the Predators, don't really have to use it too often, and that this is just a temporary thing. We can get past this and just go back to normal like we keep waiting on. But yes, the taxi squad's out there, and it looks like the Preds can have plenty of good depth players to put on the squad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good one. All right, my first one is more X's and O's. This is more on the ice. No matter what happens with taxi squads, this is going to ring true for me. More goal support for UC Saros.
Amen.
Because I'm not saying the Preds are a terrible offensive team and they're like historically bad and we can't count on them to have those games where they just light it up. They've shown they're capable of doing that.
Yeah.
They can have those spurts. But I need them to regularly show more goal support for a Vezina-worthy goaltender that is UC Saros. And, I mean, I've got some numbers here, and I'll share it out of my article, but until I pull it up, because I don't want to get the numbers exactly wrong, but some of these numbers will blow your mind. But the Preds are 16th in the NHL in goals per game, so they're the definition of average when it comes to goals per game.
Yeah.
They are just shy of 3 goals per game on average this season, which shouldn't surprise anybody because they are a defensive-minded team. They are a rough, go-at-it type of team that takes a lot of penalties. I'll get back to that a little bit later. But they take a lot of penalties, so that really hurts your chances to score a lot of goals because what are you doing? You're expending all your energy to kill penalties instead of using that energy to score goals.
Yep.
So that's a big reason why they aren't maybe a little bit higher, maybe even top 10 in goals per game in the league, which I feel like they can get to. I honestly feel like they can get to a top 10 mark in goals per game if they clean up their penalties.
I think so too. I'm surprised it's 16th. Like, I haven't looked at that stat or anything, but like, it just doesn't seem like it would be that high. I mean,
they are 16th
for how defensive they play now. 16th being average, that's actually not that bad. I feel, but it can get better, obviously.
But the point I got to make here is 16th in goals per game is good enough to maybe earn you a playoff spot.
Yep.
It's maybe good enough to even just maybe, if you draw the right opponent in the first round, maybe you can squeak by the first round. But this is we're all talking about improvements here. We're not trying to come down hard on the Predators. Obviously, the Predators are playing great. But we're trying to find areas where, hey, you can show some improvement here. Goal efficiency and goal support for UC Saros will really make this team serious contenders. And I know I'm shooting for the fences here when I say this. But think about it. Think about it for a second. If the Preds can somehow improve on this goal efficiency per game, get into a top 10 mark, kind of compete with some of these other elite teams. I'm not saying they're going to be as efficient as the Oilers or the Golden Knights. I'm not that delusional. But if they can show improvement, imagine what that's going to do for UC Saros.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why does UC Saros have to not give up any more than 2 goals every game for him to hope to get a win? That's not right. That's not going to work long term.
No. And him giving up 2 goals a game, like, when we see that, we're like, oh crap, they're in trouble, you know.
So that's not
good.
So to that point, Rich, UC Saros has taken 5 losses this season when he gave up 2 goals or less. Yeah. 5 losses.
And that's not fair.
In today's game, in today's NHL, if you give up 2 goals or less, you deserve to get that win. There is 3 goals a game is not asking for that much in today's game. And the Preds, to the Preds' credit, they are just shy of that. So I'm not saying they're far away from it, but if they can inch that up above 3 goals per game and start becoming a team that you can totally trust and bank on it, that they're going to at least score 3 goals a game in UC Saros' starts, it's going to do wonders for this team to not only go as far as they've gone, but hey, I'm going to throw it out there right now. If they can figure this out, they might even maybe be able to win the division. But that's a big if. That's a big if.
It is. And
they got to fix this area.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take some work. We've seen them struggle, like you said, to get goals, and that's.
They have lapses. They have long lapses in games where, unless UC Saros just completely carries them to the finish line, they're going to lose the game.
And if you listen to, like, when we watch the games, when Saros lets in a couple, we're like, oh crap. It's totally not fair, because like goaltenders let in goals all the time. But when Saros lets them in, we're like, oh, that's it. He probably wants that one back. We start analyzing his game more and saying, oh man, he's having a rough night, when he's not. It's the other guys who are having a rough night. So Yeah,
for
that's a good
sure.
point.
On most occasions, yes. On most occasions, you're absolutely right, Rich.
Yep.
So this was the last. So our buddy Kyle shares this guy's point projections a lot. We're going to remind everyone about it. So this is his last point projections were December 20th, so not that far off, especially considering there hasn't been hardly any games played since then. So this is at Ineffective Math. Micah Blake McCurdy does a lot of analytics and stuff. He literally has the Preds winning the division in his point projections with 99.5 points. And he's got Minnesota Wild at 98.3 and the Colorado Avalanche at 98. After that 3-team cluster of teams in his projections, the next team drops all the way down to 91.4 points, and that's the Blues. That's your top 4.
Wow.
Now, and I think I told Kyle this in the last episode.
I remember that.
I told him, I can't get on board with this. I don't believe this. I don't think this is going to happen. This is crazy talk. I respect at Ineffective Math. He's way smarter than me. He crunches the numbers. He has a system in place. But I can't get on board with it. But guess what, Rich? If they increase their goal efficiency and their goal support for Saros, you will get me on board with this prediction and this projection.
And it doesn't have to be by much,
No. I mean, they're right there. They're very average right now. Their ranking is 16th in the league. They're very average. But do we want more out of this Preds team than just average? They're not going to beat teams in the playoffs. Let's look at Western Conference playoff teams. The Oilers, the Golden Knights, the Minnesota Wild for that instance, the Colorado Avalanche. Teams like that they're likely going to play in the first round, they're going to boat race them if they don't become a higher scoring team, a more efficient goal scoring team, and they give more goal support to UC Saros. They have to do it. We know UC Saros is gonna deliver. We know UC Saros is only going to give up 2 to 3 goals per game.
Yep.
On a bad night, Saros gives up 3 goals.
That's true.
On his worst night.
Yep.
On most occasions.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me.
It is, absolutely. And like you said, when you look at other teams in the West, the Anaheim, I mean, they're strong. That would be a tough matchup at this point for those guys. Their goal differential is plus 14.
Yeah.
Predators are sitting at 10, plus 10. So
that's good. That's another good stat to look at, Rich. That's another really good stat you bring up. It's goal differential. And they're only plus 10. And I know it seems like we're riding hot, but when you're only a plus 10, even after a 7-game winning streak, that tells me that you're winning very, very close games. Yep. They could go either way, and that Saros is having to really avoid giving up 3+ goals.
Yeah, if you look at the other 3 in the top 4, Minnesota is a plus 20, St. Louis is a plus 21, and the mighty Colorado Avalanche are plus 24.
Oh, and that plus 24 is going to end up at plus 50 or plus 60. I'll bank on it. Bank on it.
They're going.
I would put money on that. They will end up at plus 50 or plus 60.
Yep.
All right, so that's a big one for me, Rich. That's a big one for me. All right, you got another one to give me here, or?
Yeah, well, it's not. Yeah, not. It's not really more of the XO stuff. It's more of another generalization. But just whatever they need to do to carry on this winning streak. They were playing so well, and I know this break is killing them. But it's killing a lot of teams, right now.
It's an even playing field. It's an even playing field. We can't use that as an excuse.
It is. But they can't regress back to the beginning of the season. They have absolutely got to get this together quick, figure out what they're going to do, especially tomorrow night or Wednesday when they play the Washington Capitals without Roman Josi, without Colton Sissons. They got to fight. They're going to have to fight. They're going to have to just chip away and do whatever they got to do and claw their way to get wins because, the season's starting back up and to not have the captain and Colton Sissons in for
it's going to be the biggest test. It's going to be the biggest test for them. It's
absolutely tough. So they're just going to have to get on it and just they don't quit and they fight. Every game seems like a fight for them, and they're going to have to continue that.
You know what we're really going to see? We're going to. Depending on how many games Roman Josi misses, and this is going to be a back-to-back. They play the Columbus Blue Jackets the night after on Thursday, and we are going to give you instant reaction to that game on Thursday. We can't wait for it. We haven't done an instant reaction episode in a while, so we can't wait for that. But it's very likely that Roman Josi is going to miss both of these games, I would assume. Of course, this is a fluid situation with these protocols, but it seems like, go ahead and bank on it, Roman Josi is going to at least miss these next two games against the Capitals and the Blue Jackets. And we're about to really find out how big of a team MVP Roman Josi is.
Yep.
Let's see if the Preds can overcome it.
Mike Twitter, Preds were pretty hot going into that.
What's up, Mike Twitter? We hope you had a really good Christmas, and we really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Yep. He's absolutely right. They were hot. 7-game win streak. The only other team in the NHL with a 7-game win streak is the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So Rich, I got to ask you something. Put your head coach hat on here, Rich.
No.
Who replaces Josi on the top pairing for Wednesday?
Man, I don't even know.
It's tough. Come on now. We know Carrier is going to be up there, right?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, man, that's a really good question.
That's that's what I like to call. I'm going to use my deep vocabulary here.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to call that a conundrum.
That is a conundrum. You're absolutely right.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. I'm not putting Ekholm on the top pairing. I'm not doing it. Yeah, he hasn't earned it. He hasn't shown me he's ready for it. I'm going to throw everyone for a loop here. Put Dante Fabro on the top pairing with Alexander Carrier.
I like it. That's hot. Hot take.
You got to see if you got it. You got to see if Fabro can do it.
Hey, man. Yeah, you're right. And it's step up time.
Do the Preds, do we still not think that Fabro needs to be the future? Does he still have a chance to prove that?
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do in this moment.
Yep.
Whereas I love Ekholm, but he is the past. Even though he is a 4-year deal, he is not. I don't want to see him on the top pairing. I don't. I feel like you're right, Rich. I feel like it is going to be Ekholm, but I would love it, and I might have to eat my own words on Thursday, and it might be a drastic failure. But if I'm Hines, I want to see Fabro and Carrier on the top pairing, keep Ekholm on the second pairing with, I don't know, Fleet Myers, I guess.
There you go.
And then you run with Borowiecki and Matt Benning, which has always been working for you. Why would you break them up when we already know how strong they play together?
Yep, I agree. That sounds like a good lineup.
Roll the dice and let's see what happens. Let's see if Fabro is ready for top pairing minutes with Carrier. You run with two youngsters, and we deal with the consequences. That's where I'm at with it.
I'm calling Hines right now. Hold on, I'll tell him what you said.
Yeah, I'm sure he really cares. He was waiting. Hines was waiting for the Catfish on Ice. Give him permission, basically. That's all he was waiting on. Hines is watching the stream right now, and he was like, they finally told me what to do.
I'm going to agree with you. I think what you just said absolutely makes sense, that lineup. I agree. I agree that Ekholm he hasn't shown that he can be on the top line. Let Fabro have a go.
I don't think I'm right, though. I think I'm going to be wrong in that as far as I think Hines is going to roll with his trusted veteran, Matthias Ekholm, who, to Ekholm's credit, he's been playing a little bit better lately.
I'm going to say it's going to be Ekholm, Carrier, Fabro, Myers, and Benning and Borowiecki.
Well, so we're just flip-flopping them here. I think the more bold move by Hines is to move up Fabro and give him a chance. The safer, more conservative choice is to put Ekholm up there. Yep. But I'm rolling with Fabro.
I think it makes sense. I like it.
All right, to round out this segment, I got one more improvement on our opening face-off. If the Preds increase their goal efficiency for Saros and they do what I'm about to say, we should go ahead and start hanging up the Stanley Cup banner right now.
Ooh,
Like, we need to go ahead and start stitching the Stanley Cup banner.
Let's do it.
So for all you banner joke people out there, come at me. All right. If this is a two-part improvement here, because they go hand in hand. Even though in my article I separated them, they really go hand in hand. But the main part of this, the Preds have got to start balancing out their playing style to where they keep that edge about them. They don't lose their focus in the way they want to play because it does benefit them a lot. But they've got to cut back on the untimely penalties.
Absolutely.
And I've seen too many penalties where it's not even about their identity and how they were playing aggressively. Yep. A lot of times they take these penalties where they weren't watching where their stick was. They got their stick caught up in a guy's skates and they weren't paying attention enough or they weren't focused enough. And these are all normal penalties that you're going to see from a younger team like the Predators are. So it's very understandable. It's very understandable. We shouldn't be surprised by it.
Yeah.
But if they can continue to preach this and cut back a little bit, I like their chances. I mean, let's be honest here. The Predators are they're definitely top 10 or top 5 in every major category when it comes to penalties.
Yep.
And let's talk about something here. Other than the Arizona Coyotes, which you never want to be associated with the Arizona Coyotes in anything.
Nope.
Other than the Arizona Coyotes, the Predators take the most penalties and spend the most time in the penalty box in the entire NHL. Only the Arizona Coyotes can say they take more. That's a problem. That's not good. Now, do I think the Predators are going to remain one of the most penalized teams no matter what? Yes. Their playing style. I said that, give me a little credit, Rich. Going into the season, did I not tell you that the Predators were going to be one of the most penalized teams?
Yep. I do remember that. And they are living up to what you said, for sure.
Well, but do they have to be second in the league? No. Can they drop it back to maybe being like the 10th most penalized team, the 8th most? I'll live with that. They can't be second. They can't be penalized that much. And I know there's a lot of Predators fans out there who are saying, well, the officiating's not fair, and we get screwed over by penalties all the time. Okay, every team can say that. There's every fan out there who constantly says that the refs have it out for their team. So we're not going to use that. We're throwing that out the window.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I think they can fix it. I think they can. They can modestly fix it. I don't think they're going to become suddenly a disciplined team that never takes penalties. But they can improve it a little bit. They can improve it a little bit, and that'll go a long way.
They can, and it's like you said, it's not even good penalties. It's little ticky tack stuff like tripping or there's a lot of slashing. You see that an awful lot. So I was looking, since we're going to talk about the Washington Capitals game, they kind of got the breakdown of their stats. So the Predators are 20th in the league in penalty kill, and that's better than it has been.
It has been,
but it's not good.
It's not when you combine being the second most penalty team in the league with a 20th ranked penalty kill. That's a really bad combination.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about improvements here, we're talking about how can the team make improvements. That's a dead ringer for an area they can improve on.
Yep. If they were higher on the PK, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care at all. But
that's a good point.
Yeah, just 20th. It's just not. That's not going to cut.
But honestly, all three of these improvement areas that I've named go hand in hand, because if you cut back on the time in the penalty box, you get to spend more time at 5-on-5, where you're actually pushing to score, where you're not pushing back on your heels and having to use all your energy to kill off a penalty and not give up a goal. You keep it at 5-on-5. That's when the Preds can make a lot of their hay. That's when the Preds can improve on that goals per game efficiency that I talked about. These all go hand in hand here. Mm-hmm. This is part of a big master plan. You fix one area, you can fix all three of them.
Yep.
And suddenly you do have a Preds team which, hold up, maybe we can go to the second round. Maybe we can put on a repeat of 2017.
It's been so long. Ugh.
I know. Hey.
Just to make it to the second round is.
But what's crazy is these are attainable goals. These are not far-fetched goals. They just got to figure it out. They've got to stay hungry. They got to keep playing with that chip on their shoulder. They got to keep remembering that in the preseason nobody gave them a chance, including us.
Yep. I admit it.
And they'll be fine.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's what we got for you in our opening face-off, episode 91. We don't care that the Preds are on a 7-game winning streak. We want to see them keep improving. We just gave you a couple really good areas that they can improve on. If they do these things, we're going to start hanging the Stanley Cup banner right now.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
People are talking about the Predators too right now. So
they are finally.
I mean, they're finally getting some.
Took a while.
It does. It's unbelievable.
When you build a 7-game winning streak, it's hard for anybody to ignore you.
And UC Saros gets a lot of attention as well. So
absolutely,
good news all around though. You know, like Matt Duchene playing better, Johansson playing better. It's all good stuff. So it's good to finally see some of this stuff coming to fruition. So
absolutely,
I like it.
All right. This is episode 91 of Catfish on Ice with Rich Howe and yours truly, Chad Minton. We are coming back from the Christmas break. We hope all of our listeners had a really good Christmas break.
About time.
We got the Preds, fingers crossed, coming back for hockey on Wednesday. I'm never gonna say it's 100% certainty in these times because every day I wake up and another game gets postponed. But as of now, the Preds should be playing on Wednesday against the Washington Capitals. Really excited about that. Let's get hypothetical here. We love to do it. Again, this is episode 91. We are presented by DraftKings and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We're going to get hypothetical here. We love getting hypothetical and doing these segments on the Catfish and Ice podcast. And this time, we are going to go back in time and think if we could add one historically great NHL player who is no longer playing and put him on the Predators right now. We're going to throw around a couple players we got. Here's 2 caveats, 2 rules on this. You can't pick Wayne Gretzky because that is too freaking obvious. We're not doing it. Wayne Gretzky's off limits. Sorry, Rich.
I know. It's all right.
Rich is like, that was my only player I was going to pick.
Yeah, I got like a whole page of notes. I knew better.
All right, so no Wayne Gretzky, and he can't be a former Preds player. And the reason I threw that rule in there because everyone would pick Pecorine, including myself.
Yep. Or Paul Kariya.
That'd be a good one,
Paul
too.
Kariya. So.
All right.
That's awesome.
So, Rich, how about you give us your first one?
All right. So, I'm going to go. So, one of my guys is still alive. The other guy is not and has been gone for quite some time. So, I'll go with the one that is still with us, and that is one Bobby Orr. Awesome defenseman. I was reading up on him. Pretty much changed how defensemen play the game. 12 seasons in the NHL, 10 with Boston. He 2 Stanley Cups. Here's his list. These are the awards that he's won. Mm-hmm. 8 Norris trophies. So he won 8 Norris trophies in 12 seasons. 2 Art Ross trophies, 1 Lester Patrick trophy, a Ted Lindsay award, 3 Hart Memorials, 2 Conn Smythes, and a Calder.
That sounds pretty good.
657 games, 915 points, 270 goals, 645 assists. Just he changed how defensemen played the game.
He did.
We have one Roman Yossi who plays a very similar style to that, offensive defenseman. I think Bobby Orr was definitely an offensive defenseman. One of the things I read said up until he started playing, defensemen would just kind of hang in the back and not do much, and he kind of changed the whole thing. So, man, I think he'd be really awesome to have on the Predators right now.
Yep.
if he can't Pecorini.
Bobby Orr completely changed how you think about defensemen.
Yep. No, it's funny. You're gonna like this. Rich loves the Bruins.
He does.
I do. They're my favorite original 6 team. I'll put it that way. So, anyway,
That's fair.
that's all. I think that's fair. We all have our second favorite teams. Who's your second favorite team?
Second favorite team would probably. I really don't have a second favorite team. You know what? I'm going to make you mad, Rich, though.
No, you're not.
I'm going to make you mad here. I'm sorry. But I actually really like the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I know you do. It's okay.
Not enough to like wear their jersey or like prance around with a hat or anything like that. But
I got you.
I don't have a problem with them like a lot of people do. If they win a three-peat, I'm not going to be that mad about it, honestly. I don't have a problem with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm sorry. Everyone get mad at me. But Bobby Orr, go back to your original pick here. You are absolutely 100% correct. He changed the way the game was played as a defenseman.
Yep.
He was, because before him, the defenseman had no drive to score, or any. That was not the point of being on the ice.
Right.
And he changed how the game was looked at, for sure.
Yep.
And so Bobby Orr is a good choice. If there's no Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr is probably the best player ever.
That's a good choice.
It's a good choice.
You got that iconic photo of him scoring the game-winning goal in the Stanley Cup. And
So we're picturing Bobby Orr and Roman Josi on a top pairing for the Preds. I think that'd be pretty good.
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take it.
So here is my first pick.
You give yours, and then we'll talk about some of the ones.
Yes.
On
We have some good responses on Twitter. If you're listening right now, or you're watching the stream live, tweet at us at Catfish Ice on Twitter, on Facebook, all those good social media platforms, or comment right now in this live chat. Tell us who would be one of your picks. Guess what my first one is? Brett Hull.
Oh, yeah.
Brett Hull was one of my... So when I first started watching hockey and I first started getting into it, Brett Hull was one of my favorite players to watch. And I actually put some thought into this, Rich.
Yeah.
If I could hypothetically put one of these historically great players on today's Preds, I need myself a pure assassin, a right winger, a left winger that can just score at will, almost like Ovechkin. Ovechkin was not allowed to be picked because he still plays right now. So I went with Brett Hull. Brett Hull is one of the best goal scorers of all time. 5th all-time in goals with 741. 5th in game-winning goals all-time with 110. So he was Mr. Clutch. Power play goals, he's 3rd all-time with 265. And just recently was passed by Alex Ovechkin for the all-time lead in power play goals. So he was right there. He's 4th all-time in hat tricks with 33. Shocker on that one is Gretzky leads in all-time hat tricks with 50.
What do you know?
But yeah, I thought about this really hard when I thought about who would historically great NHL players, who would I want to add to this current Preds team, hypothetically speaking. I want myself just a bona fide, just lethal goal scorer. I don't need you to do all the flashy assists and get out there and make hits and blocks. We got plenty of that on this team. I need a pure lethal scorer. Brett Hull was that. So Brett Hull is my guy.
That would be awesome to have. Yeah, we really don't have that, like you said.
The Preds have really never had that in their entire history.
No.
They've had a couple of decent guys. They've had a couple of decent wingers, but nothing ever on the level even close to a Brett Hull.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I think we're all waiting for Philip Forsberg to flip that switch, but
let's go ahead and sell the boat on that one.
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Not on that level, anyway.
Not on that level, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know when we would get somebody on that level, truthfully, so
It could happen. It could happen.
it could. I'm not sure, but
All right, we're gonna
that's
share.
definitely an awesome pick.
Let's go ahead and share some of.
Mike Twitter put his on here. Pavel Bure is my pick, the Russian Rocket. I love offensive speed on the ice. Sergei Fedorov.
He threw Sergei Fedorov in there too. Yep.
Yeah, good pick. Definitely.
That's a good one for sure.
I like that one.
Let's share some of our responses we got here. I'm going to pull them up right now. We got a lot of really good responses, so we appreciate everyone. Of course, let's start with our buddy Kyle Perkins, who couldn't make the episode tonight. He does Perks Picks every Monday. He will be back next Monday. He said Pavel Datsyuk.
Yep.
All right. I really need everyone, if they haven't ever done it, go Google Pavel Datsyuk breakaway goals. This guy was a magician. He would get loose on a breakaway, and that poor goalie, no matter how great that goalie was, had no chance. Pavel Datsyuk was an assassin. He was a magician. That's a really good pick by Kyle Perkins.
That is. And then someone named Bryant put underneath Pavel Datsyuk. Big time, of course. That's if Lemieux's in that same tier list as Gretzky, as I'd assume. Could you imagine Datsyuk setting up Forsberg?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, Lemieux is up for grabs here. I only said you couldn't pick Gretzky. And obviously Lemieux, of course. But
we didn't say Lemieux.
We didn't say Lemieux. And I didn't put Lemieux on my list. No blasphemy here. But I didn't put him on my list. There's obviously plenty of choices here. There's no right or wrong answers here.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Let's see. Lindsay, our girl Lindsay, and shocker of the century. Guess who she picked? But you know what? It's okay because guess what? It's still a really good choice, even if she is a little biased. But our girl Lindsay, we hope Lindsay had a really good Christmas. If she pops in the stream here later, but Lindsay said Jerome Iginla.
Yep.
And this is not being a major homer for the Flames. Iggy was a guy that would completely drag his team into a battle. Every time he was on the ice, he did it all. He scored, he set up plays, and he didn't back down from a fight. I think he would be perfect for this team. Lindsay, that is a really good response there, and you've got me persuaded to maybe withdraw my Brett Hull pick and go with Jerome Iginla. Am I allowed to do that, Rich? Can I withdraw my Brett Hull pick?
You're the host of the podcast. You can do whatever you want.
Because Lindsay just convinced me. Lindsay, that was a really good endorsement of Iginla.
She's got a good point.
Iginla needs to go ahead and invite you to his next Hall of Fame speech.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's all you need to say right there for Jerome Iginla.
There you go.
It's a good one.
That's awesome.
We got, let's see, who else? We got Boyd. Boyd's a good follower of the podcast that we interact with all the time on Preds Twitter. He says Theo Fleury. That's a good one.
Yep. There you go.
Really good one. And then we got Keith. Says Pavel Bure or Sergei Fedorov. So we've got a couple entries of that. Yeah.
2 votes for those 2 guys.
There you go. All right. Awesome. Appreciate the responses there on Twitter. Keep them coming. We'll share them as we go on here. Rich, give me another one from you. We're talking historical NHL players who we could pluck and put on the Preds right now. They got to be retired. They couldn't have played for the Preds in the past, so no Pecorine. Sorry. And it can't be Wayne Gretzky because that's just too freaking obvious. We're not doing it.
Yep. Okay. So this guy, not only is he retired, he is no longer with us.
Okay.
I reached back. I checked out. NHL has a good post or a good article, I guess. Top 100 players of all times. Tons of people on there. Brett Hull's on there. Bobby Orr's obviously on there. Tons of guys. So this guy was like probably one of the first like most recognizable and like I guess like star NHL players.
You got me peaked here. You got my interest peaked.
This is a good one. I think it is Maurice the Rocket Richard.
Oh,
We know who he is. Obviously, they give out that award, the Rocket Richard Award, every year to the NHL player who scores the most goals. So this guy was like whoever the most famous NHL star, I guess Conor McDavid. He was like the first guy like that in the NHL, pretty much.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so he played 18 seasons in the NHL, all with the Montreal Canadiens. 978 games, 966 points. So
wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Over that time frame, that's insane.
Yep. And we do know it was, he played in that time frame where there weren't a lot of teams.
Well, yeah, what exact years did he play from? Do you have that down?
Yeah, it was like the 40s to the 60s.
Oh.
So, I agree. I know
NHL at that time, I don't know.
I do
but
agree with
hey,
you.
can I give you something real quick? Can I give you something? I'm in your camp here. I'm about to boost your argument here.
Yep.
The fact that he put up that many points in that style of NHL is even more impressive.
I agree. I agree 100%.
I see where you're going with this.
And I know, the guys are really tough nowadays. Those dudes were really tough.
Oh, yeah, they ate glass. Those players ate glass for lunch.
Yeah, so, if you skate in now and you get tripped or something, it's usually a penalty or whatever. These guys would get punched, those are the rough. Yeah,
those were, and not to mention that, but during those times, these players were probably not making hardly any money for what they were doing. I'm pretty sure their protective gear was pretty much nothing.
Nothing. Obviously, no face masks.
Yeah, it was like a whole different. Yeah. So the fact that what'd you say? How many points did he score in how many games?
966 points. In 978 games.
So he scored that many points in that few of games, or that rate, so almost a point per game, which is to this day is still impressive.
It is.
With all the extra rules in place to help the offensive player. And he did that back in the 40s and 50s. That's insane. That's a really good one.
Yeah. So
Rich, I got a golf clap for that one.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Just a few more of his quick stats. 8 Stanley Cups. Of course, that was that time when there weren't that many teams, but still, that's awesome. But what's cool about that is the Canadiens actually won 5 in a row. The last 5 that he got, they won 5 in a row.
Nice.
He had 13 All-Star appearances. And this was really good. So in 1944, once again, not a lot of teams, but still, he recorded 50 goals in 50 games.
In that time frame, that's pretty good.
That is. And then so when I was reading up on him, on the NHL, they had like a little write-up of their life story or whatever. So this is what they said on NHL.com. Most famously in 1952, Richard had what might be the greatest goal in NHL history, coming out of the Canadiens' locker room with a concussion to score the winning goal against the Boston Bruins in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoff semifinals.
That's pretty incredible, but at the same time would probably be frowned upon in today's 2021 and should be frowned upon.
Definitely.
We don't want concussed players to be playing, but wow, it really gives you a window into what it was like then.
Hey, man.
Wow.
Yeah, those guys, tough as nails, eat glass, like you said. I was going to put, I can't remember his name, but the first goaltender that ever started wearing a mask. If you've seen his picture, without his mask.
Rich, you're going way back in time here, and I love it.
I know. It is. It's awesome.
I'm a history buff.
Oh, my gosh.
So I love this history lesson today.
I not remember what his name is. If anybody knows, maybe they can tell us. I'd have to look it up. But I've seen a picture of this dude before he started wearing a mask. He is stitched all over the place on his face. I mean, it is not pretty. But
nice.
I was going to give him kudos just for that. But anyway.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's a great pick.
Yep.
All right. I'm about to go way more back into more current times.
There you go.
At least within my lifetime.
Awesome.
And I might rub some Preds fans a wrong way here with this player. I don't think this player ever played against the Preds. If he did, it was right at the very end of his career.
Oh, okay.
But it comes from a franchise that I know Preds fans despise. But it's okay. Forgive me. You cannot take away the greatness from this player. I'm going the first ever player that was my favorite player as a kid when I first started watching hockey. This was before the Preds actually moved to Nashville. This was my first favorite team.
So I think it was Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, it was.
Right? There you go. I remember.
You got a good memory.
Yep, I do remember.
Stevie Yzerman.
There you go. Yep.
He was my first favorite player on my first favorite team. I do not like the Red Wings in any way now, so no one get up in arms. But at that time, when the Preds weren't a team, the Red Wings were a dynasty. I was a new fan of hockey as a kid. So what did I do? I naturally liked the best team. That's what kids do.
Yep.
I was a bandwagon jumper, I guess you could say. And that Red Wings team was the first team that I knew to like, oh, this is a good team. This is the team I'm going to like. And Steve Yzerman was my favorite player. And so I chose him. Personally, I chose him. 10th in goals all time with 692. 13th in game-winning goals with 94. 17th all time in points per game at over 1 point per game. Guess who's fourth on that list?
I don't know.
Conor McDavid. He's already at fourth all time in points per game. And I actually think he could.
He's a cheat code, man.
I mean, in today's world, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm going Stevie Yzerman. He was a leader on the ice. He was a captain. He was another one of those similar like Brett Hull, a type of player that would just score the clutch goals, come up in the big moments when you needed him. And so I threw Steve Yzerman in there. So I've got two guys I've picked who are just pure goal scorers who can lead the team offensively and do a lot of big things. But Yzerman, even more so than Brett Hull, in my opinion, was a little bit more of an all-around player and a captain. So Yzerman, I took him for personal reasons, for nostalgic reasons, because he was my first favorite NHL player.
Yep. It's okay if you still like the Detroit Red Wings.
I was one of those kids that had all these posters in my room of sports athletes. I had so for all of our NBA fans, I had a Vince Carter windmill dunk poster. I had a Barry Bonds was one of my favorite baseball. I had all these random athlete posters, and I had a Stevie Yzerman hoisting the cup in my room. It was a smaller poster, but I had one, and so he was my. So I chose him.
I think you should like them now, just because it's nostalgia.
Nope, can't do it.
You can do it.
There's not a shred of me. As soon as the Preds came here, and I realized that the Red Wings were going to be one of our rivals, that all died with me. I promise you, I am not a Red Wings fan.
There you go.
You can trust me. You can trust me, Preds fans. I am not a closet Red Wings fan.
Absolutely. And you can trust me that I like the Predators more than the Bruins. All right? I was going to put that out there. I think I've been accused by some people of liking the Bruins more than I like the Predators. Not true.
Let me throw a goalie in here, even though we know UC Saros is great, and why would we want to ever replace UC Saros? But if I could pick one historical goaltender, it's Dominic Hasek for me.
There you go.
He was so intimidating. He was so, he was one of those goaltenders. If you're going up against Dominic Hasek, you're probably not going to win that game. Just go ahead and pack it in.
Yep.
Best save percentage of all time at .9223, which over an entire career, with how many games he played, to post that save percentage is pretty mind-boggling.
Yep.
He's tied for 6th all-time in shutouts, and he is 7th all-time in goals against average, which is actually the best among modern-day goaltenders. So when I looked at the top goaltenders of all time for goals against average, a lot of these goaltenders were old-time goaltenders, going back to that time frame that you were just talking about, Rich, where he really didn't score a lot of goals. Dominic Hasek has the best goals against average if you look at all modern-day goaltenders going back to the 80s and the 90s. Yeah. So Dominic Hasek would be my goaltender if I was going to pick a goaltender, historically speaking.
I guess like the easy pick would be like Marty Brodeur. That would be a good.
Well, he's another one.
Pick.
At that point, it's apples and oranges. They're both all time great. But I took Dominic Hasek.
Yeah. Or Patrick Waugh.
Patrick Waugh is another one. There were so many dominant goaltenders in the '90s, man. If you go back and look, dude, oh my gosh.
So that goaltender who was the first to wear a face mask, his name's Terry Sawchuk. Everybody go look up pictures of him without a face mask on. It's like a nightmare fuel. But anyway.
All right. So those are our historical NHL players that we would put on the Preds. Keep sharing yours with us. We will share them throughout the episode if you're watching live right now. And with that, perfect segue into our sponsor, which is DraftKings. And DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NHL, and they have a no-brainer offer that'll make you a winner once any shot gets past the goalie. We were just talking about goalies. Guess what? Don't be afraid to bet on this bet because Dominic Hasek, Marty Brodeur, they're not in the NHL anymore. So odds are you're going to get a goal scored. So we need you to go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. Throw down $1. All it takes is $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. That's promo code THPN this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. An official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years or older in New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania. New customers only. A minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager is required. And one per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And if the sportsbook is not available in your state yet, there's no worries. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes by playing daily fantasy. So go do that. Daily fantasy hockey contest every day. So it's a no-brainer. Go do it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Promo code THPN right now. Be glad you did.
Free money.
All right, so let's give our listeners a little bit of a World Junior Championship update. We are underway with the World Junior Championship, Hockey Championship. We've got a few Preds in this year's tournament. Not a ton, but we do have some headliner prospects that are in it. The big one, of course, being Yaroslav Askarov. And he, let's just say, putting it mildly, has had a rough tournament so far.
I heard that.
He played in the first game for Russia, gave up 3 goals, got yanked. A lot of people out there are saying he was prematurely yanked and that it wasn't all his fault and he shouldn't have been yanked. Well, Russia played their second game. They won their second game, but Askarov did not even start or play in the game. So a lot of people are starting to say that Askarov's just got to get out of there. He's got to sign his ELC. He's got to get over to the States. He's got to start getting ready for his NHL career. But this World Junior, we were hoping he would dominate. We were hoping to see plenty of him. We're already not seeing a lot of him in the KHL as it is. He's only getting random starts here and there. So we're really not getting a good body of work from what people say is the best goalie prospect in the world. And we're just not getting a good body of work from him right now. And it looks like it's continuing into this year's World Junior.
I mean, he's got like one more year on his KHL contract. Like, how can he? I don't even see how he could get out of that.
I just don't know how it's going to work. Yeah, I think that it could definitely. What really concerns me is this could really stunt his development.
Yeah,
and that's not good for the Preds, obviously. But yeah, we were really hoping to see him get a lot of body of work here in the World Junior Championship here for Russia. And he didn't even get to start his second game. He did not, I will say, to be fair, he did not look great in his first start, where Russia got pretty much ran out of the building against Sweden. He did not look great. But I will say that he gave up 3 goals on 16 shots faced, and then he got prematurely yanked. Do you think 3 goals on 16 shots is fair? You're kind of on that borderline.
Yeah, I mean, So I'm assuming it was 3-0, like real quick.
I got to go back and look at that. I didn't see exactly the flow of the game, but everything I'm seeing from all the analysts who are really covering this, for what I'm seeing is he did not deserve to be yanked that early. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it is like you said, borderline. Definitely 4, he probably would have deserved it, but 3 might be a little early. But I don't know. That's a weird.
So hopefully he gets another chance here to redeem himself in this tournament. You got to think he will. Like we said, Russia did win their latest game, but Askarov did not get in the game. So and then we've got a little bit of more positive return here with Fedor Schwechkov, who he's the most recent first overall draft pick, first round draft pick, I should say, by the Predators. Everyone told him as being a defensive-minded forward. He didn't bring very much offensive upside. And guess what? He has continuously proven people wrong since being drafted. He has plenty of offensive upside. And in the first game for Russia, he scored a goal, a really big goal for Russia. And he played in almost 15 minutes of ice time. Game 2, he had some chances, but just couldn't bury them. We've got On the Future, which covers the Preds prospects. On the Future, they have been on the podcast in the past. They are going to return for episode 92 later this week to do a full segment, a full breakdown of the World Juniors. So stay tuned for that in our next episode later this week. That's going to be a lot of fun. But On the Future pretty much said that Schwechkov missed a couple really good scoring chances in the second game, but Schwechkov still got over 17 minutes of ice time as he is getting second line minutes for Russia. So Schwechkov, you got some positive here. You got some good returns here from Schwechkov, who is the first round pick. So that's good to see. Some more negativity here, some more unfortunate news when it comes to the Preds and the World Junior Championship. Simon Kanak is going to miss time due to COVID protocols for Switzerland. So that's tough. And then we got Anton Olsen for Sweden, who is also getting some playing time. A little bit of a more unknown Preds prospect, but he's playing for Sweden. We all know Sweden is a very good team that could maybe even win the World Junior Championship. So that's what we got for our World Juniors. Again, stay tuned later this week on Thursday for episode 92. We will have On the Future, who covers the Preds prospects, the best follow out there. If you're looking for Preds prospect information, go follow On the Future. They're part of SB Nation, and I'm telling you,
very knowledgeable.
They give you so much information. I don't even know if this person sleeps that runs this account.
I don't know. Yeah,
but we are so amped up to have them join the podcast again. The last time they were on, they were outstanding, and they'll be back on again this Thursday. We cannot wait to have them on. So we are pumped about that. Let's round out episode 91 with our 2 quick hitters of the night. First, let's cover some more grim news here. The NHL is officially out of the Olympics.
Yeah, I hate that. I was really looking forward to that. So, I really like the Winter Olympics, a whole lot. And it was going to be very cool to see these guys finally get to play again. But not happening.
Big time. Well, it's because of the hockey. I mean, I like a lot of the Winter Olympics stuff. I love the skiing. I honestly, don't make fun of me. I love the curling.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
I love it. It's so exciting.
I know. It's I don't understand it. Lindsay does. I think Lindsay actually plays it. I
love the curling. But it's a really huge letdown that we're not going to get to see NHL players in the Olympics. I totally get it, though. I know it's all about being safe. And then, again, with everything that's going on, the uncertainty about different countries have different quarantine rules, I totally understand. We can't be selfish here. But there are NHL players who are upset about this, too. So, preferably, it would have been nice to leave it up to the NHL players to decide whether they wanted to go play in the Olympics or not. But it's just not possible. With all these games being postponed, it's just not possible. The only way you could allow NHL players to play in the Olympics at this point is if you push back the season.
Yeah.
And the NHL has already came out and said that is not on the table. We are not going to push back the season or cut the season short or push it back into the summer again. The NHL has already said we are not going to do that, and they're sticking to their guns. And they opted out of the Olympics, which is we pretty much saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, it stinks. I don't know if it's still the case or not, but I read somewhere that if you do get a positive COVID test while you're there, you have
it could be up to 5 weeks.
Yeah, 3 to 5 weeks or something, and then like the window for the Olympics for them was only like 2 weeks, so you definitely don't want to be quarantined over in China for. And
there's no idea of what kind of play. Where are they going to be keeping you? Are you going to be stuck in a hotel? Like, is the hotel going to be a nice hotel? Like, you don't. And the biggest scare is there's so much international uncertainty. Yeah. Why would you want to put yourself at risk of that? Like, I would not want any part of it if you ask me. But there were players who still wanted to do it, and so it's tough. But we saw this coming. I guess we can just look forward to the next Olympics, and hopefully we'll get to see them play then.
Well, I think some of the players, like I think Sidney Crosby was one. Patrice Bergeron said disappointed because those guys are older. They're not gonna. They won't get to play in the next Olympics. You know, it's just not gonna happen because of their age. So I can kind of see where. And
to put it on a Preds perspective, we were going to get to see Roman Josi represent his country. We're going to get to see UC Saros more than likely represent his home country. It was going to be really fun to watch some of the top Preds stars, those two in particular, represent their countries. You know, we were going to be cheering for them just like they were playing for the Preds, watching them play for their home countries. Absolutely. So it's definitely a letdown, but it's also one that we saw coming. We saw it coming.
It's understandable. I think we talked about it before, though. Like, since they're not doing the Olympics, they have that 2-week window. But somebody mentioned, it might have been Kyle or it was you, said that, you know, these arenas booked stuff for that 2 weeks. So, like, how are they going to work that out? So that's just a little hurdle that they're going to have to figure that out because
very true.
You know, stuff's booked. It's booked. So I don't know what you could even do about that. Truthfully.
All right, so let's round out episode 91 with a quick preview. We got the Preds and the Capitals. The Preds are finally going to get back into action here.
Without Roman
Josi. What's that?
Without Roman Josi.
Without Roman Josi, without Colton Sissons, without Tommy Novak. Matt Duchene is still up in the air. I haven't heard anything about whether he's going to. We could hear tomorrow. I could see it being one of those things where they're waiting until right when it needs to be announced. But the Capitals, they are just as good as you expect them to be. They're 18-6-7 on the season. It's a team we haven't seen in a long time, of course. And of course you've got Alex Ovechkin. Mike Twitter perfectly says going for win number 8 in a row. Right as I mentioned, Alex Ovechkin.
We want that.
Yeah. I mean, it's another tough test. We'll have to wait and see what players they have available with their own COVID protocols. Have you seen anything, Rich, on any key players they're missing?
I haven't seen anything at all from those guys. And I follow them on Twitter, and I haven't seen anything at all.
So we'll just have to wait and see. This is going to be a day of type of situation where both teams are going to have to release their lineups that they have available. We'll see if either team has to use their taxi squads that they assemble. It's so hard to predict games these days, so we're not going to try to predict the game. All we know is the Preds are going for win number 8. Quick prediction right now, Rich, before we come out of episode 91. Will the Preds win game number 8 on Wednesday?
I'm leaning toward no, but I think they could, but just without Josi and Sissons, it's just going to be tough, very tough. I was looking
It's going to be really tough. I said the same thing against the Blackhawks, though, and now, you know, I kind of feel like I need to stop doubting this team.
Well, I do too, but it's tough. But I was looking at Washington's schedule. So the last game they played, they lost against the Los Angeles Kings. But all of the games that they played in December, they lost to Chicago in a shootout. They won against Anaheim in a shootout. They got beat by Pittsburgh. They won against Buffalo in a shootout. They lost to Chicago in overtime. The best win they've had in December, they beat Winnipeg 5-2. So they're not really dominating like you would expect. They're getting taken down to the wire with shootouts and overtimes by some teams that they should beat. But they might come back hungry. So
all winning streaks got to come to an end sooner or later. We will see what happens here. We are really excited, though. We will be back Thursday for the game after the Blue Jackets game. So we will come after a back-to-back. That'll be episode 92. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This has been episode 91 of Catfish on Ice, brought to you by DraftKings and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. This is your host, Chad Minton, with Rich Howe. We will see you this Thursday for episode 92. Everyone have a great week.
Have a good one.